you want to just start with your overall thoughts on the result tonight and the performance, and then we'll pass it around.
Yeah, result, better than a loss, not as good as a win. We're playing at home, so obviously wins are crucial when we're trying to get back into the playoff race and climb up the ladder. So I'd give it a 5 out of 10 in terms of a draw. Performance is a little bit easier to talk about. I thought first half was not good, and it was not good for one very simple reason. We couldn't complete passes. I thought the energy was excellent from the guys. I thought for the most part we were organized defensively, with a couple exceptions in the game. But we could not complete simple passes from A to B. And so when you're killing yourself defensively to win balls and put yourself in good positions to attack, but then instantly you give the ball back to the other team, it's deflating. And to be fair, I didn't think any of the guys slowed down, which is probably what kept us, at 0-0 at halftime. But it was very clear that was the one thing that we needed to improve on in the second half. I thought the subs came in and made a massive difference. I thought Jurgen was very, very good. I thought Gagi was very, very good. And look, I didn't think Julian and Maury played poorly, but Gagi was just cleaner with the ball and possession, finding the right passes. And I thought Jurgen, same thing. I mean, he provided us not only a lot of defensive effort, but the ability to get forward and connect passes in the attacking half. So those guys made a big difference. I thought Danny came in and did well as well, connecting passes through the middle. I mean, at the end of the day, our whole team just looked more cohesive with the ball. And that allowed us to grow into the game. I don't know what the possession stats were, but El Paso's a very possession-oriented team, and I'm assuming that we had vast majority of the possession in the second half. So it was a 180 from the second half. And, in terms of creation, I thought we had tons of chances. Could have easily gotten one of them and turned a draw into a tie, a draw into a win. But performance-wise, I think, it was perfect in the sense that we saw the bad and the good, and now we can show these guys the things that we need to continue to improve on and the things that are working well.
Yeah, Benny, it's difficult to make a coaching change early on in the season, right? Just what's the response been from the team from which you've learned?
Exceptional. I mean, the guys I have zero complaints from player 1 to player 21 or however many guys we have. Guys have been very welcoming. Guys have been very responsive. They want to learn. They want to get coached. They want to get better. Obviously, guys want to win. Every athlete wants to win. And they've given me everything they had, I think, in the entire week of training and today in the game. So I couldn't ask anything more from them in that sense.
Benny, how much of this week was preparing for the opponent at hand versus trying to implement your ideas, and what are you trying to impart to these guys?
Yeah, great question. I think that was something that we talked about. So I think normally on a normal week, right, when you have a team for a longer period of time, you're probably focusing on yourself about 70% and the other team 30. This week was probably closer to 90-10. I got to get to know the players. I got to get to know the guys. They got to get to know the way I want to play the game. We probably touched on El Paso for maybe half a day, right? I think it was mostly about, their organization, from how they press to how they want to build out. They're dangerous players on the field, but that was probably the extent of it. And the 90% was, how we want to do all those things. And to be honest, I would love to get to a point where we have less reactionary tactics and more an ideology of how we want to play and an understanding whether, regardless if we're home or away or who we're playing against, we still want to play our style of play. Of course, the opponent always plays a factor in the game, but at the end of the day, you go into a game thinking, this is the way I like to play. I like to have possession. I like to create from the back. I like to create moments of pressing situations so the other team doesn't feel comfortable in possession. And again, I thought we did an excellent job at that in the second half. So it was really good to see that the guys picked up a lot of things. Only 4 days of training and game day. So there's a lot to be optimistic about.
I'm curious what made you say yes to this job? What's the appeal? What's the appeal of it?
What's the what?
What's the appeal?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the organization has a lot of positive things going for it, right? I think that there is a really good fan base. I think that there is a lot of positive growth within the organization. I think there's a lot of goals going into the next like 3 years. Once, there's the USL, is it League One that it's going to be called?
USL Premier.
Premier. So again, there's a lot of things that are attractive. The other part is I think that the roster is better than the performances. So for me, this is my first opportunity as a head coach of a first team. And when you compare that to what I did at SKC2, it's night and day. And I've been, waiting for this kind of opportunity. And this one felt right. I think that the players that we have fit a lot of the things that I want to try and do with them. And I think that the organization itself outside of the soccer field is one that has a lot of ambition, and so do I. So I think that makes a lot of sense for myself, and I think that's probably why they thought I made a lot of sense for the club.
Yeah, in the announcement of your arrival, the club said you're signed through the end of the season. Just what are some goals the club might have in mind for you, or some goals you have for yourself?
Well, I can tell you the goals that I have for myself and for the club. I think that one of the things that Oakland has struggled to do in the last 4.5 years in the USL Championship is have a true identity of how they play. I think it's extreme. I mean, I come from Sporting Kansas City, that anybody that watches MLS knows exactly how Sporting wanted to play, how Peter wanted to play. I want to have that, right? I want to have an ability to say, hey, that's the way Oakland plays. That's the way Benny coaches. Win, lose, or draw, the fans can understand what we're trying to do. They can talk about our team and educate other people of like, hey, this is the way Oakland plays. You're going to go to a game and you're going to see this. And I think that's an incredibly important thing. And so, 18 games down the road, I hope that, fans can say, okay, whether we did well or not, this is the way Benny played. This is the way Oakland's identity is, so that if I'm here further, after this season, that's what they can expect. And then from a results base, I mean, in American sports, playoffs always has to be the bare minimum, right? I think you put yourself in a position to compete for a championship, you got to get into the playoffs. And obviously 8 out of 12 is a low bar for any team, but that's, I think, where it starts. It doesn't matter what kind of identity you have if you're losing every single game and not making the playoffs. So I would say that that's the bare minimum. But at the end of the day, I have, bigger goals. If we can get this team playing more so like we did in that second half, I think we should have real ambitions of trying to get a home game in the playoff. It doesn't mean that you achieve it, but you have those goals.
What would you say is the imprint of a Benny Villalobos system?
So I definitely have, a certain idea, but having said that, I am not the kind of coach that no matter what pieces I have, I want to play that way.
Yeah.
I just think that you have to have the pieces to play a certain way of soccer. And if the pieces fit a certain other way, then I think that's my job to find out what way that is. Now, having said that, I think, I'm 1 week in, so it's not like I have all the answers, but I think that this team has the capability of playing more possession based. I'm not a coach that likes possession for possession's sake. I think possession needs to create opportunities, chances, be entertaining, be dynamic in the final third. Defensively, I'm a coach that likes to put pressure on the other team in certain areas of the field. I don't want my guys on defensive moments of the game running around crazy and getting tired. I like my attacking players having the energy to play when we have the ball. So how quickly can we win the ball back? How effortlessly can we win the ball back? Let the other team kind of get into difficult situations before we start, squeezing them. Again, I actually really think that the second half painted a really good picture of what I hope this team looks like. The only thing that's missing is a little bit more quality in the final third, really in the box, right? We had tons of chances in and around the box in the second half, and I think that's one thing that I'll definitely harp on with video, showing guys, okay, maybe we need to make these extra runs, or we need to find a more quality pass. So I think I mean, that to me is the part that I feel the most confident with, to be able to change those ideas, because that's the part of the game that I see so well. So again, I was really happy with the performance in the second half. I think that we can, have a little bit of a platform to build from there.
The club in particular has had problems with defensive lapses, with goals coming in bunches. Is that something you've been able to analyze so far and figure out what's going on there?
I mean, a lot of the defensive posture is a lot about mentality and attitude. I think a coach has to put players in a position to succeed, and soccer is a game of 11 guys. So all 11 guys have to understand exactly what their roles are, right? So to me, one of the first things that I show the guys is the roles and responsibilities of each position. What are you tasked in doing defensively? If you're a wing back, where do you pressure? When do you sit back? The back three, who's stepping in? How do you collapse and make sure that the space in behind is not exposed? Midfielders, where are you applying pressure on the opposite team? Forwards, how do we want to close down space and make it more obvious for the 7 behind you where the ball might go? I think that's where you start. But at the end of the day, the players have to be willing to, put their necks on the line at times, because it really is about attitude. It's about one-on-one moments and just wanting to beat the player across from you. And, I thought in the first half there was moments where we weren't necessarily in the right spaces. And that was one of the conversations that we had at halftime to make sure that we clean that stuff up. I thought they had too many moments in the first half where they got balls into the channels and we were a little bit out of position, and we got a little bit lucky to not give up a goal. But in the second half, we were exceptional in that part of the game. So, I think, defensive lapses come when teams are unorganized and unaware of exactly where they need to be. And then there's the part for the player themselves that doesn't have to do with the coach and winning duels and being tough. And again, second half was exceptional.
You mentioned that anything beyond the season is still like an if technically. Can you elaborate on how this project was pitched to you?
Yeah, it's a project that it's short term. I think that my guess, and I wasn't necessarily told this, but how many coaches has Oakland had in the 4.5 years in the USL? You guys would know better than me. So we've had 5 before, and I think that's a worry, right? You don't want to keep putting coaches in there for long-term contracts and not necessarily believing in them or, getting the right person. And for me, with the size of the project and the opportunity for myself to showcase what I can do, I thought it fit in for me as well. So my guess is, from the club's perspective, is we like what you've done, but come and show it, kind of thing. And then we'll see what the future holds. And for me, I'm totally okay with that too.
Any impressions of the Bay Area? I know it's only been 4 days.
I've lived in Southern California quite a bit. I actually, the first thing that I said was I actually thought, I know Northern California isn't as warm as Southern California, but I've been impressed with the chilly weather, right? We're in June, and I was wearing 2 jackets out there tonight. So it's been a little bit surprising, but man, the weather's been beautiful. It's been sunny every day. It's been 70, cool breeze. So not t-shirt and shorts weather, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, I haven't gone around too much yet. I've been stuck at a hotel. I don't have my car here yet, so I haven't really gone around. But I've been to San Francisco a couple times. I've gone to Napa a couple times. I played against San Jose a couple times. So know a little bit, but I'm sure I'm going to get to know it pretty well in the next 6-7 months.
So, you on a podcast interview you did earlier this week, you said it was a little bit of a whirlwind this hire. When did Oakland first approach you to potentially become the head coach?
Well, the first conversation that I had wasn't necessarily about, I guess, becoming the head coach. It was more about getting to know me. And that was probably about maybe 4-6 weeks ago. I can't remember exactly. I got to speak to Yamo and got to, kind of find out a little bit about the project. He wanted to ask questions about me. And then that was a little bit for a while. And then it kind of came pretty quickly in the last, before this week, probably in the 48 hours to 72 hours before it actually got done. It was all pretty quick. And honestly, that was mostly done with my agent. It was more contractual stuff and that kind of thing. But once I knew that they were interested in me, I think they already knew that I would have been interested in the job. So then it kind of came to fruition pretty quickly.
One last one.
I mean, holding one of the league's leading scoring teams to clean sheet. I mean, not too shabby on 4 to 5 days of practice.
Yeah, again, I think the USL is so similar to MLS that there's so much parity, right? So whether you're the top team or the bottom team, I think games are always going to be competitive. And then I go back to less so the ability to keep a clean sheet, because you look at the first half, we had a clean sheet, and you look at the second half and you had a clean sheet, and those were completely different halves. So less, I'm going to talk less about the shutout to the guys, and I'm going to talk more about how we played, in the second half, because at the end of the day, it was a game of two halves, even though both halves were 0-0. So, yeah, it's great to keep the clean sheet. I think it brings confidence to the team. I think it's a little bit of a proof of concept for the guys to see, the little steps that we're taking are being implemented and helping us grow. But yeah, for sure, the biggest point that I'm going to give these guys is the disparity between, what we kind of didn't do right in the first half versus this is what it can look like.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, how are you guys?
Jefferson,
Tyler, good to see you again.
Good
to Take see care. You.
Tyler, going to start with the overall thoughts on the result and the week that it was.
Yeah, I think like we talked before, if we don't give up goals, we can't lose. I think it was with the first week back with the new coach and everything. After it wasn't perfect, but second half we turned it up a bit. First half we were a little errant on too many passes. We gave it away. We'd win it back, high pressing, win it back, and then give it right back away. So that was a little bit frustrating. It's things that we got to clean up. But I think we did a better job at that in the second half and put together more of a performance in the second half. Still got to finish our chances. I had one tonight that I got to finish, but yeah, I think overall it was a good performance, especially in the second half to see. And then the week leading up to it, it was a good week of training. The energy's high, working on different things. As you can see, a little bit higher pressing. Everybody, I didn't think that they had too many opportunities. I feel like we suffocated them pretty well, won the ball back in good areas. I'm pretty dynamic going forward. If we just can connect a few more passes, it'll be a little bit more dangerous. So something we'll go back and work on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, mid-season coaching change always difficult, right? Just what do you think the response has been like, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in the locker room there?
Yeah, I think it was I mean, it's always tough, like you said, switching it up mid-season, and have a huge amount of respect for Gavin and Jesse and them. But I mean, it comes with the sport, and you have to get on with it. And I think the energy has been good. I think it can be a restart for a lot of players, and a good a mind change for a lot of players. And it seems like we're going in a good direction. And I think we saw it with the performance tonight. I think there's still things that we can build on, but I think it was a good first performance.
Yeah, Ken?
Benny was such an impactful midfielder in his career. What's it been like having him as a coach? What's he trying to impart in the group? What's your impression of the guy?
Yeah, no, it's great to be able to learn from somebody like him. And I think being a midfielder myself, like I think I've learned a lot from him already, and just being in pockets, being more impatient in those pockets, and looking to get the ball and drive it forward more, and look to play forward more, which I wanted to instill more in my game. So I think that's one thing that I've personally taken, I think, from everybody, getting the ball and looking to play forward and trying to find those pockets and the spacing off of each other. So I think it's been great to learn from him so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
So your normal midfield running mate is with his national team this week. How is it playing with the youngster to start today?
Yeah, no, Ali's been great all season. Worked hard all season, and obviously he has a lot of talent and good work rate. And I think it was great for him to get the start tonight. He's definitely good enough to be here, and yeah, he did. I thought he did well. So I enjoyed playing with him. I think we can, as we play more together, we'll connect more and be able to link up more. I think we could have done that more, but I thought it was enjoyable playing with him tonight. I think he did really well.
One more?
Yeah, first impressions of Benny as a coach. What are you learning about him in practice, and the energy he's supplying?
Yeah, he's been very demanding, which is great. I think everybody responds well to that. And his coaching points have been really good. Different things, like I said, like with me personally in the pockets and everything, and looking at what to do in those pockets, what my first mindset should be like when I get the ball in those pockets. And I think with everybody has little things and what to do, like driving forward, can we slip people in? And I think we had those opportunities. We just missed those passes tonight. And I think you can see in the second half, like we had more of the ball and we did better. And I think we were more dominant on that. And like I said, like defensively, I think it starts with that. Didn't think they had too many opportunities, and I felt like we won it back in good positions and were able to keep it more in the second half and be dangerous. So that's one thing he's instilled in the group.
Has he had a specific message since coming on?
Yeah, we don't want to sit back. We want to be on the front foot. We want to go forward, press, not give them any joy, and win it back in those positions. I think that's been one thing. And then being more dangerous, creating those chances, driving at people. I think both offensive and defensively, like we don't want to be we don't want to be seen as a back five. We don't of course there's going to be like when you're deep, we get stuck in that, but like, can we get out of it as quickly as possible? And can we get our wing backs up? I think it's been more imposing on teams that way. And I think that's helped us tonight defensively, and being able to, especially when you got two in the middle, having those extra numbers around, it's definitely helpful.
Was it frustrating facing an opponent like El Paso, which is so possession oriented and kind of deliberate in their process?
I don't think it was necessarily too frustrating tonight. I thought we did really well, and I think we imposed ourselves on them. It was frustrating in the first half when we would win the ball and then give it right back. Too many errant passes, like I said, but I felt like second half, I didn't feel like we gave them too much time to breathe and get a rhythm in possession. So, if a team like them is good in possession and we can impose ourselves on them and not give them that joy, then I think we will be able to gain more joy as the weeks go on.
One more?
Just,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say on the back of that, how much confidence do you think you take from that second half performance? And I don't know, with the fans in mind, what do you think? Benny spoke about identity. What do you think the fans can look forward to under his stewardship this season?
Yeah, I think. Wait, sorry. What was your first question?
It's two questions in one, but yeah, how much confidence can you take from the second
Yeah.
performance? And yeah, what do you think the fans can look forward to with this new coaching change?
Yeah, like I said, the second half it was a complete change from the first half. We were better in possession, and I think that's when, if we win it back and we'll be able to keep balls, I think we'll be able to suffocate them in and create more and more chances. And so I think we take a lot of confidence from that, and we go into the week. There's going to be a lot of video to watch and learn from and keep growing from. So I think we can take a lot of confidence in that second half. And I think the identity, I think like you saw a bit tonight, we're going to be on teams, not give them time, try to turn the ball over and hunt them down, especially in the middle when it comes in there, not giving them time to breathe. And the back pressure from all the different lines, if it breaks the front line, their back pressure on, and then us stepping in. And then if it breaks us, our back pressure onto the back line, not giving them any room to breathe. And then, like I said, as we start connecting those passes, I think the identity will be once we win it, we're going forward and driving, slipping, getting more and more chances. So I think that's something to be looking for.
You have one more, John? One last
Yeah,
one.
just, it's a time where leaders have to emerge and things like that. You're among the leadership group. Just what are some things maybe you're taking on as a leader or some of your other teammates are doing to, emerge as leaders?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of leaders in the group. We have some older players in the group and guys that have been there. And then we're learning from Benny and then also taking our own roles. I think guys have different roles, some are more vocal, some are more lead by example, some are more, I think it's going to allow more guys to step up and bring out their character. I mean, it's one thing you can be a different person off the field, but then on the field, it's got to come out. Like you might not be as talkative off the field, but on the field, everybody's got to communicate. And I think that's something that will continue to emerge. The communication piece, as long as we're all on the same page and everybody's talking, if we're all on the same page and talking, then it's going to be okay. But if everybody goes silent, then that's one thing. But off the field, I think you're starting to get more and more different roles coming out of people, and I think it's been good. So I think we're continually growing. It's been growing from day one, and those haven't been emerging, and I think we'll continue to bring those out.
Thank you, guys.